Good afternoon. How is everybody doing? Welcome to Curated Legacies, episode 6, Pro. Can you believe it's
Six.
episode 6?
No, I can't believe we made it to one, but yeah, six.
I know. For those of you who may not know me, I am RJ, one of the co-hosts here, and I help motivated investors take the money that they've earned and create more revenue. And my co-host, well, she's Pro.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Prill, and full-time and part-time entrepreneurs turn to me when they're feeling overwhelmed, overworked, and headed towards burnout. And yes, it is me, not my stunt double. I know I switched it up today. So
I was about to say, like, is this really Pro? Because you got a whole new look going on, and it's really good you. It's really
thank you. Every now and again, I got to pull it back. We talk about change on here. Sometimes you just got to change
gotta
some
rock
stuff
with it,
up.
roll with it. I get it.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, as I just said, we are on episode 6. We cannot believe it. But if you've missed any of our conversations, we want to personally invite you to go back, listen to those conversations. Let us know if we've given you any value, if you have any questions, or if you just want to add to the conversation, leave it in the comment section. Now, last week, if you missed it, we talked about being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Remember that,
My
Pro?
favorite subject, yes.
Our experiences and our challenges that we actually got through. And we actually gave you some strategies of what worked for us. We talked about going to a Toastmaster or your local meetup group, or like Pro say, honor, or what did you say about self-awareness of
Yes.
thyself?
Know thine self. Okay.
I can't even say it.
That's
But
that's in the Old Testament.
But today, we want to dig a little bit further. We want to share with you what can actually occur if you get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I think it's only befitting, Pro, that we actually share how did we meet? What is our story?
Okay, so we're not about to do the like LinkedIn version. Like we keep it, as I like to say, we keep it a buck here. That's just how we both are naturally.
Yeah.
So again, we don't want you thinking everything is, what did I say, like peaches and cream. So yeah, let's talk about how we met. All right, story time. Once upon a time. No. I was on LinkedIn and pling, like, okay, so hold on. Let me say this first, and then RJ, you can jump in because you were the one who initiated it. So as I mentioned last week, I call it that old thing back. I wanted that old thing back, just the confidence and the self-assurance and really where I was socially in 2019, early 2020, before the cocoa took over.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, part of that is jumping on LinkedIn. And it was tough for me because I don't like social media. Well, I don't like social anything, but I don't like social media. And LinkedIn had changed so much. It wasn't like where you go when you're looking for a job where you put your resume. And I knew that much, but I didn't, like, I was not ready for how much it changed. So I was making it a point to go on LinkedIn every day. I think maybe like half an hour, 15 minutes, whatever it was. I'm like, I'm going on LinkedIn. I'm gonna like some
Same
posts.
thing, same story. It
No,
was it was
okay.
definitely a thought process, right? Because I don't care for social media either, but that's another story, another episode. But I understood the need for it, right? Especially
Yeah.
if I was going to grow my brand, I had to actually show up. And so I chose LinkedIn as my platform. And, I wanted to have healthy habits. So, like you, I set a timer, 30 minutes in
Hmm.
the morning. And my goal was to actually meet and network with 5 new people per day. That's my goal. And so far, I've been meeting it. And so, when you're on LinkedIn, and this was new to me because they didn't have this like you. When I was on it, it was old school, like throw your resume, look for a job, headhunter, all that good stuff. But it had changed the game. So anyway, they were having virtual events, and I remember saying, you know what, I got a network. I mean, we're still in a shutdown at that time. It was still a little shutdown, but I found a virtual event, and when you're there, you're with like-minded individuals, and
Yes.
probably there.
Yeah.
And um, what happens is you click on people's profiles. So let me make this clear: none of us are LinkedIn experts at
At
all,
all.
at all. But it bears to say, if you're going to be in LinkedIn, you should have an updated photo because that's important. And your messaging should be clear. Because I, like anybody else, I wasn't a stalker, but I did go to Pearl's page. And I loved her picture. She had a great smile. I loved
Hold
her
on.
Mustang. So it was just a matter of, is her personality going to go with it? So I ended up saying, I'm going to try. And she was one of my five person for that day. I sent her a connection request. And now I'll let her pick it up because I got another 2 cents, but I need you to catch up with me.
Yeah. Okay, so my profile still has no summary. But I had uh the woman whose event we were both at, her name is Lucretia Davis. You know what? We'll tag her. Like, make sure I say we, being RJ. Please tag her so that we can loop her in and I'll make a comment. But we were at, she was doing like the LinkedIn version of Clubhouse, like the little beta audio things. And so she was having these weekly events, which were so good. And she is a LinkedIn strategist. Like she's great. So she
She's
has,
crushing.
yeah, like it's her lead magnet. So she gives you a freebie that's really like value packed, and it has like kind of a formula on how to put your description and how to write your summary, which I did none of, but I did read it. And so I did what I felt comfortable. I didn't just,
Profile filled out because I did
yeah,
read it. You
yeah.
did have
And at the time, I had more of a description for my company, Curated, so Curated Financial Solutions. And I was mentioning that I work with high risk business owners, like early stage high risk business owners, or business owners in high risk industries. One of them being real estate. And I will gladly say it. Many of my most favorite clients are real estate investors. So shout out to the real estate investors. So at that time, I did have more of a description on what I did. And so naturally you saw that and you reached out. And okay, so we're being real. Like, so I saw it and then I was like, ignored. And I think I think it took me a couple days to
and no,
respond. And I think you followed up. You
we're going to
you
be
followed
honest.
up.
If we're going to be honest, it was a week. It was a full
Oh,
week. Yeah.
why? I was rounding, so okay, you rounded up, I rounded down. But no, it probably was. Like, but seriously, I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, but
So,
that was not like
how did it feel?
like it well, I mean, obviously I ghosted you for like a week. So so at that time, the challenge, because we are both proponents of like creating challenges. Like, to me, that's how I achieve my goals. I set my benchmarks. I challenge myself to do something. So
Mhm.
I was just good with, I'm meeting my little, quota of being on and like liking things. Like I was, like dipping my pinky baby toe into the LinkedIn. But again, there were some things that had happened, in like the month or the weeks leading up to with my business, that it was on the list again. Like I realized I was limiting myself by just saying like, okay, I'm only going to do this. Again, as I am clear, I naturally am wired to be very binary.
Mhm.
So every now and again, I have to like revisit some things and say, all right, am I comfortable with responding? Now, let me tell you why it was a week later. Now that you've told me it was during Lucretia's event, is because it was a weekly event. So I saw her picture, I saw your picture, RJ, and I was like, oh, snap. If I can see her, she can see me. And I didn't respond to this lady.
Honestly, guys, this is the first time hearing this version, so I want to hear the story.
I
What?
was like, oh no, like I didn't intentionally ghost you. Like, I just, if it doesn't fall on my list, for lack of better terms, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. So when I saw you there, I'm like, I did not respond to this woman. Like, April, come on now. Because I had looked at your profile. I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. I could see why she would say that. Oh, she looks friendly. I love, I clicked on some of your links and I'm like, I love it. I love the colors. Like, she looks like she's about her business, even though I don't look like I'm about my business. Oh, I'm
Yes, you
about
do.
my business. Like, I don't
You
play. Like, RJ, I don't play. So it's almost like I expect as I see, not as I do. Anyway, so I said, okay, I'm going to, like, just do it. So I think I responded like, hey, do you want me to use the link on your website, which I think is like a discovery call for prospective clients? And you're like,
Mhm.
no, do this link. That's when I think there was a couple days lapse in between.
Seriously, now that I can't recall. So
Yeah,
you
yeah, that I think was a couple days. Like you sent me the link and I was like, no, like she responded like so fast. Like,
right,
whoa.
right.
So I signed up and then I think that's when I hit you back like, hey, I scheduled time for Monday. I look forward to, talking to you or whatever.
I
So
had mixed emotions about you not responding, right? I thought
really?
maybe it was maybe she's busy and she's getting, an influx of connection requests, or maybe she doesn't see how we could drum up some synergy. I mean, it could be a range of things, but what I did know was when I came back onto social media, I knew I was going to take it personal. I was just going to, move onward and upward and just be like, okay, I didn't feel any negativity, or even when I saw you, because you are correct, I did see you couldn't hide, you couldn't change your face. I knew it was you.
They put you a profile picture up there. So it's not like she could
It's
actually
just
see me.
clubhouse.
It's just
Like,
like the attendees in the room, they put your profile picture. Yeah.
yeah.
But
So
you know what though? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so I didn't feel taken aback by you not being so responsive. I was just like, it's okay, because you got to keep moving. I was just like, if it's meant to be, it will be, and if it's not, that's okay. I can't take it personal.
Yeah, well, that's good. And I'm glad you didn't. And I am glad you followed up. And I think I even said that, like, oh, thank you for following up. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because I would have ghosted you. Let me tell you though who I do
But never
ghost.
for her to thank me for following up. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Well, now
I'm kidding.
but like, before, because I shared that with you like during our first conversation, not as much detail. Like you said, some of this you're hearing for the first time. Because when we were, kind of outlining and doing the programming, we're gonna like tell the true story. And we just kind of left it at that. So this is really this is happening real time, like us telling our kind of like our origins or how we met story. But I will say this, when I went back, and you stood out, but I discriminated against you a little bit because I was getting so many like wackadoo spam messages like, hi, tell me what you love the most about your business. Like, wait, what? To me, okay, so if LinkedIn is supposed to be about let's just even say social media, period. Social media is supposed to be like, I was told that it's almost like you're at a live networking event or at a dinner party. When you
Mhm.
first meet someone, you don't walk up to them and just start, would you like to, you look like you'd like, or tell me what you like
I
about your business.
got to ease into that situation.
Right. You say, hello, I'm Prill, and whatever it was. So yours definitely was not spammy at all. But and this is just a word to the wise. You'll hear us talk about the infamous what they say. If they tell you to send some like unnatural, weird script of how you interact within messages, trust and believe that there's people who could be exactly who you're looking for. They could even be your ideal clients that are going to be turned off and ignore you because you didn't come correct. Like there's some people who have reached out to me and I'm like, wow, I think we could actually, like, they would be, but they are doing this bogus stuff. And I can't align myself with people who are not going to be authentic to whomever they are today, because it should change. But that's just my little, hold on, let me hop off my soapbox
Well,
because
because sometimes it seems like it's a hard sale and it's not
yeah,
them really trying to network to get to know you and your brand. It's just WIFM. What's in it for me? That's their
yeah,
attitude towards it.
exactly. So, at least be nice and then say hello before you start. And also don't send stuff to people like just willy-nilly. Like I get so many things. We've talked about this. Why the dentists love reaching out to me to sell me their services. Do you see these teeth? Like, I love my teeth. I'm fine with my dentist. I drive 55 miles one way to go and see my dentist 4 times a year. Like, don't just say like, oh, you look like you would need. I don't look like I would need a dentist. Let's be clear. Okay, anyway, so we got a little sidetracked. But we did tell you, I think, was that last week that we talked about like when we got together and kind of just how it took off
Mhm.
with us and how we ended up like landing here. So I want to stay within well, hold on. Do you have anything else to add about our story time before we
No, I
move
mean,
on
I'm
to the
glad
next
we were
one?
able to push through, and really you never know what the other person is thinking and not thinking when you send those messages. But be like she said, be authentic with it. Don't sound scripted. And if it doesn't seem and sound natural to you, well, imagine the person that's reading it. It's going to sound the same way to them.
Hello. Okay. So let's talk, since we're talking about networking, let's talk about networking. So last week I shared about how emotionally and physically draining it used to be for me to, I think I mentioned like I have to always be on. Um, and this happens sometimes, but it's solely due to my social anxiety. Because as an antisocial butterfly, as I proudly am, I know
You can see your
I would.
shirt. Where's your shirt? You should have worn your shirt.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Maybe I'll wear. We need to do like a casual episode so I can wear my t-shirt. I don't want you being all glammed up and then I got like a white t-shirt on. But I have this t-shirt that says antisocial butterfly because, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, that is really,
So
really me.
mhm.
Yeah, it's so totally me. But to be honest, I still struggle with getting out there and networking, or as I call it, talking to strangers. But RJ, like that is so not your issue. You don't have that problem because every time I turn around, like you're triple booked, out and about, bopping around, going to these various events.
Stop it. So last week you actually told us how you are sometimes can be exhausted showing up in these social situations. And yes, I tell my clients all the time that you have to show up and put yourself out there. But hey, I got to practice what I preach, right? So I I actually had an event that I got invited to on Tuesday. It was a networking event. And when I went to the event, I was just like, okay, I got two options. I can either stay here because I've already showed up, but now I need to put myself out there, or I can leave. And so I decided to put myself out there. And let me tell you what I felt like. Just imagine this going back, because I know you will appreciate this. Going back to the first day of school, right? Maybe kindergarten, first grade, just some first day of school, but not just the first day, but the first day going to the lunchroom. Do you
Mm-mm,
know how uncomfortable that could be figuring out where to
mm-mm,
sit, say? That's how I felt. But you know what? I told myself the same healthy habits that I have with LinkedIn of having a minimum of a certain amount of people that I want to network with. I literally told myself that same narrative. And before you know it, at the end of the day, I met more than what I expected. And I started talking to people and believe it or not, we were able to drum up some synergy as well, where we found out that we had a lot of things in common and we can bring value to each other's brand. But it was all about, guess what? Me asking for the help. That's all it took.
mm-hmm.
And that
Yeah.
was something that I had to work on.
Yeah. You see my face over here. I was like, no, no.
It was good. It was good.
I mean, I like all jokes aside, yes, you are absolutely right. When you do finally do it, it just happens so naturally. And I know that. And I think that's what I like kind of bribe myself with, knowing what's on the other side of it. But it just is kind of the buildup for me. And, like you said, sometimes you do have to ask for help. And sometimes like we have to coach ourselves. And
Mhm.
it's times like this that like I'll ask myself, okay, so what would I say if it was one of my clients? What would I tell them? And again, like I said, I tend to kind of like bribe myself with things. And I touched on it real briefly, but I want to swing back around to talk about something because as you know, when we've met, I had just been at a serious intersection with my business because it had evolved and it had grown to the point where I no longer wanted to do compliance and business operations. And I'll just briefly share with our viewers and listeners like what kind of led up to that. So I would say beginning maybe around like like summer of last year. Several of my clients, they were starting to be like late on their action items, their deliverables. And I was also noticing that our conversations were changing. So instead of our conversations being focused on me working on their businesses with them, like per usual, I found myself kind of like shifting and helping them delegate and prioritize some life and some business tasks, and started hearing my clients talk about how they're feeling like they're falling behind and they're overwhelmed, and just like the stress, the all the different stressors that they were under. And although they didn't use the exact words of burned out, they were definitely getting burned out.
They were
But
describing it.
yeah. Oh, for sure, for sure. And okay, so here's the deal. What I realized like during this time was that there were not only changes in them, but there were changes in me. And I'm like, whoa, I really, really enjoy having these conversations with them. And it felt really good, hearing the updates and the improvements that they have, to their stress levels, and them getting back on track with their projects and at home, and even some of their relationships. So even though it wasn't my intention, there was some
Or part
real.
of your program. It wasn't even part of the program either.
No, I'm a service provider. Like I can get you tightened up with your regulators and the FTC, and get you on track with your financial institutions and unfreeze your funds and tell you how to streamline your business, and link you up with different accounting and tax professionals. I'm not out here trying to guide people
And
right, walk them through the valley of getting burned out. But these people, like, they were getting results, and working with them, it was extremely gratifying and fulfilling. Okay, so now I'm at an impasse, because I found myself avoiding and putting off some of those more service-based tasks, and doing things more at the last minute, which is not my style at all, but it is indicative of some things. And I know this about myself. And I would get excited um, about the tasks that fell under, like, I would say, like the coaching umbrella. And I'm making air quotes because I ran from coaching so hard, but I stayed coaching all the time, like even, as a service provider with my clients, which is just, that's what happens when you're just in the midst of confusion. All right. So then I found myself like taking on more of these burned out business owner clients, and turning down ones that needed me as a service provider. And RJ, as you know all too well, I am a creature of not only habit, but I am a creature of logic. So
yes, you are.
like I really, I truly like struggled big time with my emotions, specifically how conflicted I felt. Okay, so like logically, I have this business. It's something that I'm trained in. It's something I'm really good at. It pays well. You go down the list, and it's checking all of the proverbial like success boxes. So, why am I back?
But success for who? Your definition of success or somebody else's definition?
Oh no, the infamous day. The infamous day.
I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah. Oh no. Look, like we are, like I always talk about, self-awareness is key, self-awareness. I know that it's easy to say, don't look at what they do. Don't, as I call it, scoreboard watching. Don't, you shouldn't do these things. But as humans, like, we can't help ourselves. Now, how quickly you snap out of it, or like what action you take as a result of it, like that's a distinction. But yeah, I was, I'm having these conversations with myself, like trying to make sense of what I was feeling, and like, why am I back in this place again? Why am I on the emotional struggle bus? Why am I dealing with these conflicting feelings? And also something that was new to me, which was like this unknown resistance. And I was at the point where I did everything that I knew how to do. I exhausted all of my tools and my personal resources. And I knew that I needed to bring someone else in to help me get clear on what I was feeling, and really help me like determine what my next moves and my next steps were going to be. So I did this 2-week 14-day coaching intensive, and it's an emphasis on
Wait,
the
is it 14 days consecutively?
straight.
Or oh,
Straight.
okay.
Yes. That's why I say emphasis on the intensive, because it was just that. Like, it was intense. Like, that program was no joke. And during it, there were a lot of things. You know, I'm getting serious. Like, when I lean in. Okay, let me lean back. Sorry.
I know. I was just going to say, you're that's, she's very passionate.
Like, yeah, when I'm trying to like crawl into the like the computer.
Okay, it's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so in that program, it revealed so much. Like, and I learned so many things about myself, but one of which that I walked away with was um I made my peace with, and I accepted that it was time to move on and change my business, and, you know, like my business model and my business in its current state. And I was excited, and I was ready for this change. I didn't know what it was going to look like.
Right.
But
It's
even,
going to be a change.
yeah, like, or even what change meant at that time. But I just, you know, I opened myself up to the idea. Look, my arms are open. Like, I opened it up to receive
No,
it.
I remember when we connected and we had our offline conversations, you were in that space of not knowing how to define it. You knew it was something, but you had not really been able to articulate it well yet, because it was still being developed. It was still in
Yeah,
the
like,
incubator, being, going through its process.
yeah, we met that Monday because that Saturday was when I finished the last day of the intensive. So it was literally the next business day. Like, I was just fresh. I was fresh out of that challenge. So, but I also knew that like, as when you are open to change and just open to seeing like what's next, that you also have to be open to introducing new people into your life. So that's why, you know, when we reached out, you know, I responded, and here we are. Okay, as the official timekeeper, it's time to wrap this thing up.
Okay.
Okay, so what would you say are your key takeaways and your food for thought for this week, RJ?
It would be making sure you get connected to a community, because a community is going to be a great sounding board. It's going to be a good support system to support you along the way. And I know a lot of coaches, myself included, we tell our clients to have accountability, right? But there's two parts to that. You should have an accountability partner, but more importantly, you have to be accountable to yourself.
Mm.
That's the one thing that I find a lot of coaches don't stress, the other part of accountability.
Yeah. You know, what do I say are the 3 rules to coaching? The client does the work is the first rule.
Uh-huh.
The second rule is the client does the work.
Uh-huh.
And then the third rule, wait for it, the client does the work. Okay. That's not my
Exactly.
key takeaways and thoughts. That's just
Because
me.
we're adults,
Yeah.
and the things that we have to be accountable for, and you can't wait for others to hold that space for you all the time. What if they're not available? So that means you're not going to be accountable for what you need to do. So that's why I said,
Right.
again, I'm not against having an accountability partner, because I have several.
Right.
But
Yes.
on a given day, I know I still have to be accountable for me and my actions and decisions. And, I'm responsible for moving from level to level.
Yes. All right. And I will say this, okay, change can be solitary,
Mm.
because there's definitely some things that you can only do by yourself. But for those of us who feel like that we have to go it alone, because that's what life has taught us, that is what people have shown us. We have been conditioned. I really just want to encourage you today to open yourself up to change, and letting the right people like into your bubble, and open to just thinking about considering receiving help from others. Because remember, as I always say, you do not have to do everything on your own. All right. Well, let me look at the time. Yes. Okay. Thank you for tuning in today. We would love for you to join us next week when we tackle yet another buzzword: imposter syndrome. All right. And we are going to get into the various ways that imposter syndrome can show up in our lives. And also, if this is your first time joining us, then we invite you to check out episodes 1 through 5. I had to think about that. And feel free to let us know your thoughts in the comments. RJ?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you again, Pearl, for co-hosting this with me. I cannot
Of course.
believe we just wrapped up episode 6. Like, it's amazing. But
Yeah.
no, it's really great. I look forward to unloading and unpacking next week's conversation.
All
Okay,
right.
bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.